Welcome back to another edition of We Need to Talk About This. I'm your host, Chuck Oliveris. It is a brand new episode. This is episode 30, believe it or not. And what's crazy about it is I realized today that coming up here, I want to say in June, it'll be 1 year that I've started the podcast. And it's interesting, like I've told you all before, those of you that tune in regularly, not every podcast is for everyone. I've tried to have some guests on to talk about some things, different things, music. My friend Holly Gallo, of course, has been on a couple times. Need to get her back here. She's always a great guest. James Rice from Paris on Fire, the hot new band that will be playing the Whiskey A Go-Go in September, and I'm super excited for him and Kay, his girlfriend. She's his lead singer, and they've never been to the Go-Go, and I was kind of explaining it to her the other night when we were talking, and I'm excited for them to play that. That's coming up in September. What a great club. When my office was at Tower Records up there on Sunset, I spent a lot of nights in the Whiskey A Go-Go. Saw a lot of bands there. There's so much history there. It's like the Hollywood Bowl or the rest of the clubs down there in LA on the Strip and stuff, where you had people like the Doors, the Beatles. I mean, crazy history in those places. So I'm excited for them. Paris on Fire in September. My friend James Rice, his girlfriend Kay Noel, they will be there, and that's going to be an exciting event for them. So let's talk about what's going on with us. So, we're getting close to moving out of the state of California. I've lived most of my life in California. I did a couple of years up in Portland, Oregon, where I sang with a band up there, a couple of showcase clubs and stuff. There was one, Key Largo, I think, that was the main one we played at, or the main showcase club in Portland at that time. And that was several years ago, of course, with my band, That's That. And then I lived out in Georgia for a little while. So when I was younger, probably 17, I moved out to Georgia, to a little town called Livonia. I've talked about it before on some of the other podcasts, but here we are considering moving because my in-laws have given us a gracious opportunity to take over our home on 43 acres out in the woods, out in White Oak, North Carolina, which is about an hour and a half from Raleigh. And the South is, interestingly enough, I mean, I remember living there, like, for instance, and I've talked about this before, the names and the way the accents are and everything back there are always funny and interesting. But I had a couple of friends. I had a friend named Jimmy Hornbuckle, and they lived out there, and we were good friends with him. And I just remember their mailbox had big old horns on the mailbox, and you're only going to get a Jimmy Hornbuckle in Livonia, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So the South is interesting, but the food is great too. And one of my favorite things, of course, hush puppies, and not these cheesy little hush puppies they try and serve you out here in California because they don't know what they're doing. Good hush puppies you got to get in the South, and you Southern people know exactly what I'm talking about. So Dalton likes a lot of the Southern food as well, like okra and stuff like that. Not a big fan of okra, but I am looking forward to getting back out to the South and finishing my sort of semi-retirement out there in this beautiful acreage of woods, completely secluded, beautiful, deer and bear. I'm going to sit on my deck and smoke some pot and enjoy what's left of my life, which is about 2 minutes. So in talking about that, one of the funny things that always came to me was the way that they gave you directions in the South. You'd stop and ask somebody, hey, how do I get to Wilmington? Or how do I get to this? And there'd always be some Southern guy that grew up there and be like, you go down here by that tree where that girl got killed that time, make a left there by the Texaco. Their directions were always hilarious. So I thought it'd be fun to just ask a random guy named Earl, for directions in his neck of the woods. And it's pretty funny, and we're just going to go through that real quick now. So let's see how random guy named Earl, gives directions. Are you ready? Here we go.
Take the fucking hoe exit, go all the way down Dingleberry Road till you get to 420th Street. All right, what you're gonna want to do is get off at that weed exit, but be careful. The speed limit's 15, 7/8 miles an hour. And there's been rumors of schools of ducks around there, and also some big ones trying to cross the road. Keep driving and take exit 116 at Lickmanooks in a half a mile. Merge on the Coochie Coochie Road, but watch out for the people doing hula hoop, and don't get picked up by the ferry horse. Keep on at 9.5 miles an hour till you pull into Coosawatt. You're gonna see some dumb chickens. I'll be sitting next to them.
What kills me about this is the end of it when he says, you're going to see some dumb chickens. I'll be sitting next to them. But that's almost exactly how they describe directions in the South. And I just love it. I just love it. It cracks me up. So random guy named Earl, that's his directions to his neck of the woods and stuff. But let's go back and look at some of the signs. For those of you on YouTube and Spotify that can't see it, I'm showing slides of the actual names of these streets. These are all real places, right? So he started off with Fuckahoe, right? This is actually a little city out there in the South. Can you imagine telling people, where you live? I live in Fuckahoe. Oh, damn. And then what do you say? Dingleberry Road. Dingleberry Road. That's kind of cool, right? That's hilarious. And then he had 420th Street, you know, weed, which is not that unusual. We have a weed, California here. But then he says, be careful because the speed limit is 15 7/8. I was dying. I was dying when I saw that. He said something about in the directions about it wasn't penguins, but the sign is penguins. And he said something, I forget what he said. My favorite one is when he says, you know, get off at exit 116 at Lickmanuts. Lickmanuts is hilarious. I know. That's a real place. Yeah, just come on out to Lickmanuts and take that exit 116. You'll find us. And then, of course, the Hoochie Coochie, was it? You know, Coochie Coochie Road. Coochie Coochie Road. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know where he got the hula hoopers, but that was killing me when he said that. And of course, he talked about the ferry horse, and there was a sign here we were showing y'all that has what looks like a unicorn with big old feathers on it and stuff. And then the other speed limit sign that he's talking about is the speed limit is 9.5 miles an hour. And then you get off at Casawuchi, exit 28. And be careful, them squirrels. Or no, he said the chickens, right? The dumb chickens, and I'll be sitting right next to them. So if you go to the South, this is kind of what you hear and stuff. And that killed me. And I thought, well, let me just ask a random guy named Earl how he would give directions to his neck of the woods. That's exactly what you're going to get there. We had a lot of friends when we lived out there in Georgia and spent a lot of hot summers there on Lake Hartwell, which is a lake in between Georgia and South Carolina. And we had a little dock off our home there and stuff, me and my sisters, and just met a lot of fucking hilarious people there and stuff. So kind of looking forward to that move and getting back to the South again. It's beautiful back there. And I can't wait to enjoy some of that beautiful green Carolina, you know, scenery. And it does get hot out there, and we get a little bit of snow. I'm not sure how much we're going to get where we're going, but we'll probably get a little bit now and then and stuff. That'll be later this year. I'll probably talk a little more about that as we get closer to it. Hey, did you guys know that twice in the history of the Hollywood sign, they changed the sign to Hollyweed? And I'm showing a picture right now. And there it is, Hollyweed. They did this twice, and I was reading an article about it, and I forgot what two reasons they did it for, but they did it temporarily, and you can see it right there. And I thought that was kind of funny. Because the Hollywood sign is the first thing you want to see if you've ever gone to Hollywood or LA. And years ago, when me and my oldest sister, Teresa, were younger, we drove down from the Bay Area. We went to Hollywood. We got totally smashed, bought a bottle of something, and we drank it in our hotel room. And all night as we were getting drunk, we kept saying, I just want to see a Hollywood sign. And we couldn't find it for the life of us while we were driving around looking for our liquor store to get our booze from and go to the hotel and drink and all that and see Hollywood Boulevard and all that shit. Never saw the Hollywood sign. Well, next morning, hungover as hell, get up in this little ghetto hotel room. I pull the curtains open and there's the Hollywood sign right up on the hill. And we're like, what the fuck? I was like, I know. Yeah, all hungover, and it's like there it was. It was probably there all night. We just didn't see it. I thought it was hilarious. So it's interesting that they changed it to Holly weed for those couple of times. And I'm going to have to look up the story again to find out what the reason was they did it. But I thought it was pretty funny that they did that, and it'd be pretty funny to see. Hey, I was thinking about talking about moving to North Carolina, and I'm kind of semi-retired, but I'd really like to just retire. And I did the math, you guys, and it looks like I can completely retire at 97, and I'm 63, and live comfortably for about 11 minutes, I think. That's the truth of the matter, though, right? 97, and then I can live comfortably for about, 11 minutes. And it's crazy because everybody works all their life to get there, and you just wait for that. So I'm looking forward to kind of being out in the beauty of the woods and seeing the wildlife and enjoying what time I have left with Dalton and my little dog, Shiloh. And if you don't know, for those of you that don't know, Shiloh's our pit bull, and she is at the end of every podcast where it says this is a Shiloh production. And we used to have 3 dogs, and she's the one that's left, and we love our little baby girl. What else was I going to tell you about? I started telling people when they say, hey, come down here tonight or whatever, and when I don't want to go, I just say, oh, man, I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. I don't have anybody to cover my Facebook shift. Because, I have a responsibility to live up to. Well, I should say a reputation of sorts. And everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, hey, that's just the way it is, man. Come on. I'm kind of horrible to my friends, and I love to be a jokester and play jokes on people and stuff. I've got these 2 friends that never met each other, right? And they finally were going to meet up with me, and they were going to meet each other. So I told each of them individually, hey, my other friend that you're going to meet, they're kind of hard of hearing. So the first 15 minutes that I introduce them, they're like kind of shouting at each other until they both kind of realize that I'm just an asshole and I lied about the whole thing. You should do that, right? Throw them off track a little bit. See how that works for you. Both yelling at each other, and then they both looked at each other and went, this asshole. It's good stuff. I saw something the other day, it kind of cracked me up. Thought I'd read it to you. It's a little thing here. It says, I can turn water into cocktails, but give me a drink and I'll turn the night into bad decisions, questionable texts, and a story even I won't believe in the morning. Right? Of course. That's pretty much it for everybody, right? Bad decisions, drunk text, or drunk calling. How many people do the drunk calling thing, right? You're kind of buzzed and you're like, let me write this person. And that can go bad in about another million ways. We should have a podcast about that and kind of talk about that. The night you drunk called someone and the stupid shit you said or did. I always thought that would be kind of an interesting one to look at. I saw a little meme with Keanu Reeves, and for those of you that can't see on YouTube, it's Keanu Reeves, and it's him from Bill and Ted, and then it says, hey man, what if the reason that you two still haven't found what they're looking for is because the streets have no name? And I thought, that's a good one, right? Thank you, Keanu. Mr. Reeves. Love that guy. I read something recently about him having a conversation with Elon Musk. I'm going to look it up again and maybe share it with you guys on maybe the next podcast or two. Although I want to tell you that next week, My special guest, my cousin Matto, will be back live with me on the split screen from Sacramento from the Matto Bar. And we're going to talk about some stuff and follow up on a poop your pants story that we did a couple podcasts ago. We actually asked people if you had ever pooped your pants. Please send us an email and let us know. We won't use your name, yada, yada, yada. But we want the story. Well, I got one email. Only one brave soul was able to email me their story, and it happens to be a family member of mine. Now, Matt, my cousin Matto up there in Sacramento, has no idea who it is. He took a couple guesses, and I told him, no, you're not going to guess who it is, but I'm going to share that with him on next week's podcast, and then we'll find out who our poop your pants story is from. Someone in my family, though. Nobody else was brave enough to share it, and you know damn well you got one, so I always thought that was kind of shitty. Hey, I want to show you a picture, if I could, of a beautiful butt. Look at this ass right here. Isn't that a great ass? Look at that closely. If you look at it closely, for those of you watching YouTube, it's actually someone wearing a pair of socks with both socks pulled down a little bit. Yeah, but honestly, you look at that and what do you think? You're like, those are butt cheeks. It's actually the heels of his feet or her feet, whoever that is. You know, you see those things on social media all the time, and it says, if you saw this, then you're an idiot or whatever. But I thought that was a good one because it really did look like a couple butt cheeks. You know, we got so drunk at the bar the other night. It wasn't good, right? And we were all so wasted that we were searching for my friend for like a half an hour while he was helping us. Didn't even realize it the whole time. That's how drunk we were. Oh, he's right here. But he's helping us look for himself. Just weird things that happen to you in life, I guess. Moving on, let's look at this one. This is a meme I found. It says, the dude I pay to stop by once a week and pick up the poop in my backyard just realized that I don't even have any pets. I know that's gross, right? Seriously, the guy's out there and then he realizes, wait, they don't even have a dog. Are these guys shitting in their yard? I thought it was hilarious when I saw that. I saw another meme I thought I'd share with you because this one was kind of funny, but this guy says, when I'm bored, I go out to Walmart and I try and freak everybody out in the store. So I go to Walmart just to freak out the cashier. He puts one little tiny bottle of Vaseline in his shopping cart and a very long cucumber, and then pushes it around the store for people to see it for a little bit, right? And then goes up to the cashier and puts the cucumber and the Vaseline on the little conveyor belt thing. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God, we should do that. Yes, you are correct. We should do that and we should film it. And I think it would be hilarious to see the reaction of the shoppers as you're passing by them. Because everybody looks in your cart or even in the line, right? When you get up to the cashier, you're in the line. All you have is that little Vaseline thing, right? Or the cucumber. Everyone else is all piled up with food and stuff like that. You've got those two very interesting items in your cart. I thought that'd be hilarious. Recently I found the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm showing you a picture of what it looked like right here. It is a little bright light, and it was basically a middle finger sticking up at you. And I kind of feel like that's what the light at the end of the tunnel is right now in the world, because it's so nuts and crazy, and there's just weird things happening. I'm going to share a story with you guys on next week's podcast with cousin Matt about a friend of mine I grew up with named Brian Blunt. Brian Blunt's mother owned a funeral home in downtown Oakland. Not really downtown, but just outside of downtown Oakland on 98th Avenue. And we'll talk about that next week. There's an interesting story to that, though. Another meme I saw that I thought was kind of fun, I wanted to share with you guys this week. It says, when you're trying to get dressed to go out, but none of your clothes fit anymore. And it shows this frog. And he says, well, plans are canceled. I'm fat. So this recently just happened to us because me and Dalt were saying, hey, man, it's in the thick. It's starting to feel a lot like summer in our neighborhood, in our hood, right? Like today, I think it was like 76, 77. And it's really, you're feeling the summertime heat. And I'm like, okay, time to switch out the closet from all the winter clothes, the hoodies, the sweaters, all the long sleeve, warm, cozy shit, and pull out all the old shorts you wore last year and, the light t-shirts and stuff. Like, for instance, my little California t-shirt. Yeah. So we did that. And I piled up his shorts on one side of the closet and I piled up mine on the other. But then I went to go try them on. And that's why that meme cracked me up, because I went to try them on and like 4 of them didn't even fit me anymore. And I was like, geez. So now I'm down to maybe only 4 shorts, which just goes to tell me that my fat ass needs to lose weight, and everybody says that summer's coming, gonna lose weight, gonna do this, gonna do that. No, you're not. You're gonna have to throw them out and you're gonna have to move up to a 38, bro. That's all I'm saying. And it's very depressing. So it happens every year because summer comes around, you switch out your clothes and you go back to them. You're like, I hate all my clothes, right? Who doesn't do that? I thought this was interesting. Somebody put this up on Facebook. Dear Facebook, please stop suggesting people I may know. I do know them and I don't like them. That's me, for sure. We know who they are. You scroll right by and you go, no, I know who they are. I don't like that bastard. I'm not going to be friends with him. I think I brought that up before. I hate when they suggest people you might know. Other little anecdotes I was going to share on the podcast this week. This was one of them right here. Let's look at it. It says, when you're young and you drop something, you just pick it up. When you're older and you drop something, you stare at it for a while, wondering if you actually even need it anymore. Right? It's like, it's such a chore to pick it up. How many people, come on, raise your hands. How many people were in the kitchen at some point getting some ice for their root beer or whatever, and a couple pieces of the ice fall on the floor and you kick it under the fridge? I am so that guy, and it's so not the right thing to do. And when people see you do it, they're just like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's water. It'll melt. So that's kind of what that reminds me of a little bit. Hey, at my age, when you drop something, it's like, do I really even need that? Nah, we'll just leave it there. It'll be fine. Our second one says, and this is great, you guys, you should try this. Next time a stranger comes up and talks to you when you're alone, just look at them and whisper, you can see me, and see what they do. Because they'll be like, what the hell? Right? Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Whoa. Hey, bro, you can see me? Nobody else can see me. Freak people out. Richard Lewis, one of the old stand-up comedians from years ago, used to say, if someone breaks in your house and they're like a murderer and they're all, ah, he said, just do that 20-fold times more back at him. Ah! And the dude will probably run out the door. And I have to almost say that that's probably exactly what would happen, because if you're a psycho maniac anyway, and you go to attack somebody, and then they respond with an even more aggressive, ah! You just be like, whoa, I don't even know how to react to that, right? So it always cracked me up, and that one actually made me think of Richard. God bless him, he died a couple of years ago. You may remember him. Richard Lewis used to be on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson a lot. He was one of the guys that was in the last movie with John Candy. I think Wagons East was the name of it, John Candy's last movie. But yeah, he was a funny comedian, and that kind of reminded me of him. So I thought I'd share that with you tonight. Listen to this. This is a true story. Fox News had to pay nearly $800 million for lying to its viewers. Then in court, they defended themselves by admitting they're not really news, they're just entertainment. Imagine losing a fortune just to confess that you're a joke. Fox News. I will have to agree with that. 100%. I just think it's weird. I think it's really, really, really weird. One of the things that I'm going to start doing once in a while is finding some creepy stories to talk about, because I've shared a couple of them on prior podcasts, but tonight I have 4 kind of creepy stories that I'm going to share with you. Yeah, are you ready? These are real stories, you guys. Yeah. This is going to be real shit that have happened to people and their experience, and it is kind of creepy. So we're going to start off with our first one here, and here it is. This guy says, when I was young, me and my cousins found a bloody shirt in the woods. My cousins and their parents hunted, so we thought maybe it was from that. But then we found a Ziploc bag with shoes and shorts. When we told our uncle about it, we got punished and weren't allowed to talk about it. He says, I don't speak to them anymore. Can you imagine? So you find the bloody shit out there, you mention it to your uncle or whatever, and you're not allowed to talk about it. So you know that takes a couple of days in your room at night, going to sleep, going, why wouldn't Uncle let us talk about that? What did Uncle do? That's kind of freaky, right? But even freakier, listen to this little creepy story. In 6th grade school, on a camping trip, I was in a tent with 2 other girls. Early in the morning, barely light of day, I was awakened by shouting. I opened my eyes to see the outline of a young man crouching over me, looking back over his shoulder at the tent opening. Before I really understood what was going on, he was hauled out of the tent by his feet. Apparently, he had been sneaking from tent to tent and had an axe laid gently next to my head, as it turned out. Right? What the hell? That would be pretty creepy. It's pretty creepy anyway to wake up with somebody fucking over your bed staring at you. But then after he got pulled out of the tent, he had an axe laying next to her head. Very, very strange. All real stories. This one's even creepier. Listen to this. This is pretty interesting. My childhood friend was about 15 and home alone over a long weekend when his parents were traveling. But on Saturday night around 7 or 8 p.m., he was in the bedroom upstairs when he suddenly heard his mom call up the stairs to come get dinner. He popped his head out of his room, confused as fuck, but no one was there. So he called back down, Mom, are you home already? There was a big, long beat. But then after a few seconds, his mom walked slowly around the corner, coming from where the kitchen was, and looked straight up the stairs from the bottom. She smiled and then walked right back into the kitchen. Now, my friend was frozen in place for a moment, but then he heard her call to come get dinner again. He said the only reason he didn't just walk down those stairs to see what the fuck was going on and why she was home so early was because he thought it was strange that she didn't talk or utter a single word when she appeared. Like, why did she just smile at him and then walk away? Then, he said that just didn't sit right. The fact that he never saw her open her mouth, he could hear her and he could see her, both plain as day, but never at the same time. And that smallest detail is why he chose instead to slam his door shut, lock it, and call his mom. Well, he called his mom and she answered immediately and was still several states away, hundreds of miles away. They ended up calling the police for fear of an intruder. And when the police came, they found nothing. No one was there. And even the security system was still on for the house. That's some weird shit, right? So these are all real stories. I've got a couple friends who lived in supposedly haunted dwellings, and I've heard their stories. I personally am never going to believe that unless I can see the ghost or something valid. In this case, this guy sees his mom. How freaking weird is that, right? So I just thought that was really a creepy one. Let's see what our next one is here. No, that's not it. Here we go. This guy says, I was sleeping in my parents' room because they were on vacation and my dog sleeps in their bed. First floor, I might add. From a distance, I could hear screaming. Didn't think much of it. We have kids in the neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhood. 10 minutes later, the screams are louder and closer. Still didn't think much of it. Another 10 minutes, and the screaming is louder and closer. My dog is now alert and huffing and growling. He says, my heart is beating, but I still play it off, knowing I have locked all my doors. My dog will go into fight mode, and I have a gun in the cabinet. No joke, 10 minutes later, the screaming is right outside my window. That's right where my head is, and it's louder than anything. My dog is absolutely flipping out like I've never seen him before. I'm a pretty intimidating guy, he says, and I'm having a panic attack and probably crying. I'm under the blanket, curled up in a ball, too scared to do anything. My dog won't stop barking. He says, my dog won't stop barking. Looked out the window. I saw no one. Minutes later, 5 police cars go into my neighborhood looking for an escaped psycho patient. The scariest part is that she had killed several people a couple blocks away. So, the thing is, you feel these things, you hear these things, or at least they said they did, right? And then there's nobody there, but then all that other shit's happening outside his window. So that one I think is pretty interesting and creepy as well. Our last creepy story is pretty interesting. Let's check it out. Did you see that? Did y'all see that? Those of you on YouTube? My on-air light went off and on its own. I don't have a switch here. I'm not touching anything. There might be some bad juju here. I don't know. I'm just saying. All right, let's hit the last one here. Last creepy story. This guy says, I have a really creepy one. So my cousin, around 30 years old, had a baby and had one of those baby monitors. Oh, shit, here we go. I've heard about these things. Had one of those baby monitors with a video feed. She was in the living room with her sister watching TV. Her sister gets up, goes to the kitchen, swings by the baby monitor to take a look at the baby, and goes white. She slowly walks up to the mother and says, there's a grown-up woman with a white dress holding the baby. They were both alone in the house. They both go running into the bedroom only to find that the baby in the crib and everything was closed. To find the baby in the crib and everything closed. To this day, my sister never forgot what she saw on that monitor and heard on the baby monitor. So this is not an unusual thing. I've heard a couple stories about the baby monitor thing. I've been in friends' houses who have children, small babies, where the monitor's in the living room, the baby's upstairs or whatever, and they'll hear strange noises and they'll go up and check. The baby's fine, it's sleeping. So my thing is, don't even get the fucking baby monitor, because I get freaked out when I hear stuff like that. And I've heard a lot of stories based on these baby monitor things. So yeah, I don't know if I would even have one. I mean, and maybe if you're going to have a little baby infant, keep it in your room, close to you. But the monitor thing, that's kind of freaky. We're going to do more of those on the podcast. I'm going to look up creepy ones. These are all true stories of experiences people have had. I need to talk to Austin Blackwell, my best friend, about some of his creepy stuff. He's one of the people, him and his wife, Tessa, lived in a place that was haunted, and there were strange goings on and things like that they couldn't explain. And I am fascinated by that stuff. I mean, I'm not looking to do a ghost hunter thing here, but I do think there's weird anomalies and things that happen that are unexplainable, And it's always like, remember old Robert Stack on that show at 12:45, Chuck Oliveris left to get cigarettes at the store and never returned. I loved his voice. He had the perfect voice for that creepy, I don't know what happened. Hey, I ran across something that's pretty funny. I saw this the other day. I had to share it on here because it was hilarious. So check this out. a yellow-chested half-wit spotted in Greenland. I mean, it's right on, isn't it? For those of you on Spotify and iHeart, it's basically a little bird with a red presidential tie and Donald Trump's hair, and it says yellow-chested half-wit spotted in Greenland. And I died when I saw that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Hey, which reminds me, it's that time of the podcast to kind of do our roundup of this week in Trumpland. So let's do that.
A spoonful of tariffs makes the stock market go down. The stock market go down. The stock market go down. A spoonful of tariffs makes the stock market go down in the most delightful way.
That's going to be Trump's little theme song for Trumpland. It is a bit of a circus, and it just keeps continuing. This is kind of funny, though. Listen to this.
I don't throw babies out, believe me. I love babies. Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier. If I become president, we're all going to be set.
Okay, so I just died when I saw this. So there he is in his man diaper, and I'm sorry, but any chance I get to humiliate the man, I'm going to do it because he's a fucking idiot. I've never heard anyone in that position as a president of anything be so stupid and ridiculous and inaccurate in the things that he says. So in Trumpland this week, a friend of mine, I noticed earlier this week, put on his Facebook a little list of things. Scott Williams, good friend of mine, used to work with, and they're just facts. These are actual facts of Donald Trump. It's not anything that y'all can't, look up yourself and see. So let me share these facts. He says 64 times he's mentioned in the Epstein report, 97 times pleaded the fifth, 97, 34 felony convictions, 91 criminal charges, 26 sexual assault allegations, 6 bankruptcies, 5 draft deferments, 4 indictments, 2 impeachments, 2 convicted companies, fake university shut down, 1 fake charity shut down, $25 million in a fraud settlement, $5 million sexual abuse verdict, 2 million fake charity abuse judgment, 93 million sexual abuse judgments, 93 million sexual abuse judgments, 400 plus million fraud judgment, right? First president in history to serve a full term, increased the deficit every year he was in office. First president in history to maintain a debt GDP ratio over 100% for his entire term, highest annual budget deficit, most added to the national debt in a single term, most new unemployed claims, largest single day point drop in the history, guys, of the presidency, first president to have bipartisan support for his conviction after impeachment, which happened both times, most indictments, guilty pleas, and criminal convictions of members of an administration. He's the first president to have a mugshot. And he ends this thing with saying, go ahead, look up every claim here, and you'll see it. So, I mean, isn't it just a little bit unreal that all that is fact, and yet people love him? You'll have to explain it to me like I'm a fucking 2-year-old because I don't get it. I can't look at him. I can't listen to him. If I do, it's because I want to share it with you on the podcast because it's stuff that's just so heinous. I can't believe it. But then there's this chick, and you guys already know I don't like her. So here we have our little friend, Caroline Leavitt, our White House speaker. She's 27 years old, you guys. This little Barbie doll right here. And I really just want her to shut up. She is so rude and cocky and condescending. And she's very much where she should be, right next to Mr. Trump. He's obviously groomed her for this position, and it's just crazy to me. So she was out speaking again the other day about all this stuff, pushing his agenda and so forth. And I thought it'd be fun to just kind of look at the comments. These are not my comments. These are comments from the people that read it and saw it, and this is what they said. So let's look at them. The comments on this one says, propaganda princess daily dose. Billions and billions of bullshit. She lies more than she talks. This gentleman says, I hate seeing her smug face now. It's full of gaslighting, no love for her countrymen at all, just slimy dodging and lies. The next set of comments here is Timu Barbie lies again. Dude, she looks like a Timu Barbie. She's 27. She's not even educated on the what economics is and stuff, and that's what kills me. The next comment says Monday, reinstate tariffs. Tuesday, rollback tariffs. Wednesday, reinstate tariffs. Thursday, rollback tariffs. Friday, reinstate tariffs. Saturday, golf. Sunday, golf. The last comment on this one, details, honey, which communities in this, let's see, details which communities in this. It looks like it got cut off there. $6 trillion in stock market losses in 2 days says you're wrong, lady. U.S. citizens will be screaming resolution before the summer's out. Trump will be forced to roll back all of his nonsense by his own people. It's a democracy. Listen to the people or fall on your sword. This government's not fit for office, and everyone knows it after this week. All of your 401ks just got trashed. Hope everybody's planning in retiring in the next couple of years. Next set of comments after her speech, when someone doesn't know the basics of economy. Okay, I just said that. Check the charts. Market has collapsed. Sure, we all want to work in sweatshops. Unfortunately, he lied to you. Follow the money, Trump. This guy says Trump is selling U.S. citizenships to Saudi princesses and Russian. This word always trips me out. Oligarch. I don't even know how they say it. You guys know what I mean. They're using it all the time. They become citizens on paper, and then he tanks the economy, put options galore through shell companies. The Saudi and the Russians come in, buy up all those failed businesses, properties and assets. This makes it look like economy is recovering, but it's really just a massive wealth transfer out of our country. That money is then split, and those same Saudis and Russians transfer his cut back through his shit coin. You all know about the card, right? To be a citizen now, that card you got to pay $1 million for, or whatever it is. Untraceable is what they're saying. They're merely liquidating the country from the inside. If people get wise, if public sentiment grows to unfavorable, he moves his fire event, likely a war with Iran at the behest of I don't know what that name is they're talking about, and uses an excuse to further push emergency war powers that further push the country into partial or even possibly total martial law and suspension of civil rights. Remember, April 20th is when his report on the feasibility of pushing the Sedition Act is due, and he has stated it multiple times. And the last comments after her speech said, in 2025, the world doesn't need as much manufactured thing as in 1920, that old fashioned. So they're always thought, you guys heard all that, and they're going back and comparing back in the day to now and stuff. But it is kind of crazy, right? I mean, if you have to think about all this, we're inundated with every day. It's being thrown at me and you through social media, through the news broadcasts and stuff like that. And now they're controlling who can be in the press room. And we talked about that before too, which is kind of another scary thing, because I just don't get it. It's like, you're censoring people, you're stifling people. You guys have seen the tapes, you've seen the news when he tells them, I don't even like you, get him out of here. I don't like you either, get him out of here. Yes, I'll take a question from you because I like you. Okay, that's some fucking bullshit, right? And it's so out of hand, it's hard to watch and it's hard to live through and stuff. And it just reminds me Another meme I saw this week that said, to prove people will argue over anything, here's a stick, right? Yeah, they would argue over that. That's not a stick. That's not a stick. And of course, I couldn't get away with the Trump diaper picture one more time, because this one's even funnier. He's kind of bending over in his Huggies there or whatever.
There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do. Nobody builds walls better than me.
Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me.
Nobody's fighting for the veterans like I'm fighting for the veterans.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
There's nobody more pro-Israel than I am. There's nobody more conservative than me.
There is nobody.
Okay. Well, there you go. The guy loves himself. You can't tell me, if you put all these things together, these are on tape. They recorded their live. They're him. This is not bullshit. So if you watch all that and then you're still going, yeah, come on, buddy. I mean, something's wrong with you. That's all I got to say. Something's wrong with you. And it takes me back to wishing, and my mother used to do this. She used to say, I'm not voting for any of these politicians, Democrat, Republican, no matter who they are. She would write in George Carlin. Well, George Carlin, of course, one of the greatest comedians to ever live. And he had it right. And he had it right a long time ago.
His interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want.
They don't want you to. George Carlin was a master. And there's a page on Instagram I follow of his. And it's a lot of his routines like that and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, he was saying this shit years ago, before Donald Trump was even in the spot he's in now and stuff. So when you go back and listen to George now, you kind of go, wow, the guy, he knew. And I've seen a couple conversations he's had with talk show hosts and things like that. And dude, he's right on the money. The guy was brilliant. So God bless George Carlin. I miss him. I'd vote for him today if he was running for president. Before we leave tonight, I want to talk about an actor who's one of my favorite character actors ever. His name is Dean Norris. I know you guys know this guy. Most of you will know him from Breaking Bad. If you're watching YouTube, throwing a picture up of him right here. Little shot, a promo from Breaking Bad. That's Dean Norris on the left there, obviously. This guy is so cool. So he's one of my favorite character actors, and he works more than anybody in Hollywood right now. Dean has been in so many things, and I know you've seen him. I know that you know who he is. I'm going to show you a couple things here. If you want to follow his Instagram, and I'm going to tell you to, because he's a pretty fun guy. He usually plays either a bad guy or an asshole or somebody who's in control of everything. But here he is on his Instagram, Dean Norris right here, actor, owner of Swinging Cafe, Norris Pack, Los Angeles, California, crackshaft.com. He's pretty cool as hell. Oh, look at that. I just noticed my friend Trevor Blue's following him too. That's awesome, because he's definitely one of my favorite actors. Right now I'm throwing up a shot of him with one of the actresses who played Dina on the comedy Superstore, which was the Walmart store sitcom. But Dean's done everything and he's in everything. And I just wanted to share that with you, because I really think if you like this guy and you've seen all his movies and stuff, check out his Instagram. He's pretty fun to watch. But just wanted to showcase him a little bit, because he's in everything. You'll see him in everything. Mr. Dean Norris, one of my favorite character actors for sure. Next week, we're going to be with Matty Matt on the split screen from Sacred Tomato. He's going to pull out his guitar. I guess he's been writing and stuff again. I think, my family is very musical. I sing. My cousin sings, plays and stuff. And as you know, my father, who passed played keyboards and my uncles and the band and stuff like that. But anyway, Matty Matt's got the guitar out again. We're going to fool around with that, but we're also going to talk about some funny shit. You know, when Matt comes on, it gets crazy. There'll be a follow-up to the poop your pants story that we talked about on one of the other episodes with Matt, and that's all coming up next Tuesday right here on We Need to Talk About This. You know who I am. I am your host, Chuck Oliveris, and we will be back next week. Don't miss the poop your pants story, because it's funny. I'm not even kidding. See you next week, guys.